water black. I know it's been a while since I had released a video. Just had some health problems here probably the last month. Just been struggling to get better and get back on the channel and bring you guys a new video. The video we're going to bring to you today is a personal account that I had experienced, and my wife had been there to encounter it with me. It was something a little unusual. Over the years we had different occurrences and things we had encountered together, and over the years we have found that my wife was able to recollect things that I had forgotten, and subconsciously they were just kind of buried. This one here stood out pretty well to both of us, so I thought it'd be interesting to bring to all of you's attention and get your opinions and see what you think about it. Feel free to leave comments. Let us know if you've had any similar occurrences or know anyone that has. So, we'll get on to the story here. Today's video is called Unknown Object or Alien Implant. Now, this story, it starts off rather calmly. It was afternoon or early morning weekend. Me and my wife following our morning routines with our two young boys. They were both pretty young at this time, and on the weekends usually we just kind of took it easy and slow, and we had days off together, and we was going about our morning routines and just up kind of fumbling around and getting some coffee and enjoying each other's company and just relaxing. Usually this was kind of our morning routine. We'd get our coffee and then we'd just kind of relax in bed and maybe watch some YouTube or watch a movie or something to that effect, as we're trying to wake up, enjoy our coffee, not having to get up and rush around, and just our regular thing there, just kind of being lazy. And as we were kind of sitting there in bed, we were watching something, drinking our coffee, just chit-chatting, and I ended up started having something there kind of weird, the first couple times I didn't think much of it, but as I, we're in our pajamas, and I'm sitting there, and I was moving my legs back and forth in the bed, trying to get comfortable, get some circulation in there, getting brain active for the morning. I didn't notice anything, too much right at first. I had, it felt like my, something on the blanket started snagging on my leg, and hadn't thought much of it. And lo and behold, back and forth, there were, as the more I moved it back and forth, the more I started to notice that something was snagging on my leg, and I thought, that's kind of unusual. So my wife noticed it, and after it had done a couple times, I was like, all right, what's going on there? I ended up getting up out of bed, and I found something there on my leg that was catching on the blankets. And this is something I thought, oh, it's not too unusual, whatever. As we looked at my leg, it looked like there was something thick there that was, kind of protruding out of my leg. And I thought, oh, okay, that's what it is. And the first thing that came to my mind was, because I've had this happen before, even like with facial hair, where, some of my facial hair is really coarse, and sometimes I have instances where I had almost like 2 or 3 hairs growing out of one spot, and at first that's what I was thinking this was on my leg, and so I thought, okay, well, that's really weird, we'll go figure this out. So And this is really weird too, because that same leg, even still to this day, I still have this spot on there, which I had seen a doctor about, and I thought it was, possibly an injury I'd had. And I had an injury, changing oil, where I'd fallen into the pit, and I'd clipped my shin bone against the rail, and I thought, okay, maybe that was caused by that. But after discussing this numerous different times, with friends or my wife, I was convinced, I should probably have it checked out eventually. This is the occurrence that actually brought me to that conclusion, to actually go and have it checked out. So what happened was, me and my wife were looking at this thing, and we thought, all right, well, we will just go into the bathroom, we'll get some tweezers and see if I can just, work it out of there. So as we're sitting there though, I grabbed the tweezers, and this is what's funny too, it never had given me really any trouble. In fact, I'd had this other discolored spot up from where this other portion was I just described on my leg. It actually looked like almost like a little tiny birthmark or something to that effect, or almost like a freckle, and didn't think anything of it. And it'd been there for a while. And, it had kind of had some discoloration around it as well. I ended up getting out the tweezers, and me and my wife are doing this, and so we're kind of going slow, and I start pulling on this object. And it's weird, because as we're looking at it, before we start pulling it out, we notice it seems kind of hard, pretty resilient. So we're kind of weirded out about it. And so we slowly and meticulously started, drawing on this, because we didn't, whatever it was, we wanted it to come out. We didn't want it to break or off or anything like that. And I'm pulling on this thing, and it doesn't hurt. So we get to moving and pulling this thing out, and next thing we know, we're kind of weirded out. It's about half an inch out of my leg, and okay, that's not a hair or anything to that effect. And so we keep pulling on this thing, and we keep pulling on it, and eventually, by the time we fully get this extracted out of my leg, I end up pulling something out of my leg that's probably 1.5 inches to 2 inches long. And my wife looked at it, and when we finally had it out of there, I thought, what is this? And how did I not know this was in my leg? I should have felt that or something. And she described it as looking almost like one of those mechanical pencils, like the pencil lead, the refill that you would put in those. And it is kind of about what it looked like. And so we're fiddling back and forth with it, and I'm tapping it on the sink, on the sink top, and trying to figure out what it is. And it sounds hard, like almost like metal. And so, okay, I'm trying that and this and that, and I ended up taking it in two hands there, and I ended up folding it into a 90, like it was metal. I thought, okay, that's whatever it is. It feels metallic. And so we had, I was like, all right, I'll grab a magnet. And sure enough, it sticks to a magnet. And so I was like, all right, well, that pretty well confirmed that it was some metallic object, straight as straight can be. We tried everything rationalizing it, trying to figure out, because I did tires, for years. I was still currently doing tires, and, sometimes you'd get tires in that were kind of shredded and this and that. And I thought, sometimes they snag you. I thought maybe it was something from, removing and replacing some old, blown out tires or something to that effect. The only problem with that theory was, I don't know anybody that's ever worked on tires. Generally, if you have one shredded like that, those belts are wound. They are, they're not straight, and they're thin, and usually they'll just cut you. This was straight as straight could be, almost like a needle. another weird thing about this was it almost looked like there was an organic matter around it. Almost looked like skin or scar tissue or something to that effect. And I thought, well, maybe that's why I hadn't reacted to my body. We ended up looking into this more and trying to make heads or tails of it. And I thought, all right, well, I'd never looked into, too much on the alien implant thing. And I thought, well, this is straight as an arrow. Half the time they describe these things, the more we looked into it, you always hear these things described as being like a rounded object or something to that effect. And the more I got to looking at it, I started to find that there were almost like needle-like implants that people had described, or what they described as alien implants, and that people had been found in their bodies. Now, normally these type were usually found in the hands and the feet. And I thought, well, that is a very strange coincidence. So I started looking into this, and we were trying everything from magnets, and I had read things where people would actually use like a cordless phone. So they would just turn on a cordless phone, and they would kind of run it around their body if there was, or what they described as something alien or reactive, like an implant, that it would react with these objects. And I didn't get anything else going on, running it around my leg and this and that, but it did seem to react, like with static and this and that to this object. And I thought, all right, well, that's kind of strange. So moving forward, it had weirded us out enough that I finally decided to go and see a doctor about it. And talking with the doctor, he kind of, like any doctor would do, was asking me what I was in for. And I told him I was in, I wanted to get an x-ray done on my lower leg there. And when he had asked why, I had kind of described what had happened. Didn't want to make it sound too weird. But I had pretty well told the doctor what me and my wife had experienced and what we had found in my leg, and unbeknownst to me that it was there. And so basically I was there trying to determine, I showed him the other spot on my leg and was trying to determine that there was nothing else there. And he kind of had that look on his face of, kind of unbelieving, this sounds unreal. How doctors are, almost kind of has that look on his face like, all right, you're crazy or whatever. But, my leg did not hide that something was going on there. And that's kind of, he believed it to be almost like varicose veins or something from an injury or something to that effect. And so kind of out of sight, out of mind. But to me, it was trying to set my mind at ease that potentially there was nothing else in there. So we proceeded with the x-ray, and the x-ray did not show any signs of any other metallic anything in my leg. And so from there it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. But the experience itself, led me to remember other instances which I will describe in future videos that I had experienced, which really got me to wondering, because I had different occurrences of missing time, and this I actually can recollect two different instances where one I lost an hour, and another instance I'd lost big blank for like 3 hours, and it got me wondering, because I don't recollect, anything on that nature. I don't remember anything, but I do sometimes, I'll show instances of or symptoms almost of like PTSD. And I've never been a veteran, I've never been to war, never had anything too extreme circumstances to my memory of knowing, you know, where or why I would have these symptoms. But sometimes they just show up out of the blue, you know, these fight or flight responses without any conscious thought about it. And so it really got me wondering, you know, I mean, you know, how many people potentially are having occurrences like this? You know, it's like, are you the only one that's going through this? I don't think so. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a search, and it's kind of a share of, you know, something I've experienced. And you know, it's funny now, we go on rides, you know, me, my wife, my boys, and you know, go out to see if we can see anything like that, you know, because I'd had a UFO encounter, and I've got that video here on the channel. Never find them anymore though. It's really weird. But a lot of things have changed since then, and I thought, well, maybe they lost interest. Maybe, you know, potentially if it was something to that effect that had been implanted in my leg and they had lost interest, maybe that's why it was working its way out of my leg. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. It's one of those things we've tried to wrap our head around that we never could quite put a finger on it. But it was very unusual. So, you know, I find myself quite often, you know, staring up at the stars in the night sky and asking myself, well, was there? Did something occur that I don't recollect? So yeah, very, very odd occurrence. You guys let me know what you think. As usual, I appreciate all of you and your support. I encourage you guys to share this video. Give us a like if you enjoyed it. Feel free to subscribe. We use all the support we can get. Till the next time, we'll see you on White or Black in the next video.